now I've got my file set, I've got the three different disciplines represented and what I can see here, but I want to look for interference between the objects that are in here. I'll point it out, I think I did before, but if that were switched off, then you're not seeing the clash detection side. If you switch it back on again, you are seeing it, but the easiest way to manage that was with the workspaces, using the standard. So when you can see it here, what I can do is I can pick on clash detective, right? And I can pin this open, which is the easiest way for me to work on it. Let me just zoom out a little bit on there just so you can see it. So on this side, I've got ways of looking at, like if you like, I can make settings for my whole. This is my whole project, and this is also the whole project. But you're going to do some system measured against another system. So it's kind of left and right is what you're comparing one with the other. You have this way of looking at the model, standard, compact, properties. I think I need to draw this out just a little bit so you can see more options. What I'm looking for is under sets here. So on the left hand side, if I were to look for, say, the supply air system, I could select that here. And on the right hand side, I'm going to say let's look for collision detection between that and structural frame. I think I've got one heading for all of that. So structural, what am I looking for? Structural framing. I just want the one set that's like all of the structural framing. Steel. I thought there would be one set. I'm not seeing one set. So I suspect that's a problem with the data set. So, but I can get around this by making like a multiple selection here. So I'm interested in all the steel. So what I'm doing, So what I'm doing is making from there, and then shift and click here. So I've selected everything from the top to the bottom. I've got all of the structural framing systems selected. I don't want self-intersecting to be checked, because that would be like saying if the supply air system turns a corner and it was drawn in such a way as it intersects with itself, you want to identify that as being a condition that you're interested in, and that'd be really like just a mistake in the way it was drawn. So I'm going to check it off. On the same thing with structure, really. I don't want to find out where the structure interferes with itself. I only want to find out where the supply air system interferes with the structural framing that's steel. The run type I would set to being hard, because I want physical interference. If I set it to something like clearance, that would be doing something like saying, show me if there's a gas pipe within 4 feet of an electrical wiring system or something like along those lines. That's the difference between a clearance and a hard run. The values set here for tolerances, this would be just kind of a common sense or trial and error, but if you set the tolerance to say 0.001 meters, then so even if the object were within 0.001 meters, it's not going to show a clash. It has to be a bit more pronounced before it's going to report on the clashes and ignore anything within that distance. So all I need to do then is click Start to run the interference check. Clash detector. And I think I'm going to draw this up a bit just so you can see it. So I can click on start, run the interference check, and then I can go to the results to see what it is that it actually found. So it found, 5. I'll try and reduce the size of it. Found 5 conditions within my model where there's actually interference between the structure and the supply duct. So you see I can click on these to go to the locations where the interference is. And it's going there because I've got auto zoom selected, and it's saved viewports of the views where there is interference. So one of the other things that I can do on there, if I just look at, let's say I try and pick this first example. Positions down here. So what I'm doing is looking for where I think that there's the interference has been detected, which would be that view there. And I've got some options on how I show the information that's on screen here. So some of my options are to grey out all the other options, all the other objects. So if I look on the options that are here, I can say dim other. That will make it a little bit clearer. If I pan on this and zoom out a little bit, try and pan on that. The other thing I could do is do transparent dimming, so I can now, when I go to the interference like this, I can more easily see where the actual interference condition is. So it was awfully hard for me to see it when I didn't have control over the other things. In fact, maybe even saying the hide other would make it an awful lot easier for me to see where the interference is in my model. But I'm going to turn that back on again. So that's kind of a lot clearer as to where my interference is in the model, just by checking these options. And the objects are then available for me to tag and report to my other team members.